And I want to show you. Okay, here we go. Look at that. This is garden gleanings. This was the last of the tomatoes from the garden that we put in the freezer. Hang on a second, folks. Okay. This was the last of the last zucchini, the last of the leeks, the celery that regrew, an onion I found in the garden that I missed, and tomatoes that we got when we pulled up the plants and I put in the freezer, and 2 cans of tomatoes that had to be used up. Look at that. 7 quarts of amazing goodness. Now I'm going to show you what's for supper. This is, I had too much to can. Like, I didn't want to start another canner for 2 jars. So tonight we're having minestrone soup. Look at that. It's going to be amazing. I'm sure Howie's going to want pasta in it somehow, though. Oh, probably. Hang on, let's do this. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second half of the live. We're doing this on Our Half Acre Homestead instead of Life with the Wolfies. I didn't even freshen my tea because I still got half a cup. Oof. 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 I gotta fix my chair. Hang on. That looked like it was started out as 2 carrots. So, it's 1:30 or so in the afternoon. So I'm really hoping I will get, I gotta fix this so I can see the chat here. So that I can get a couple of canner loads in tonight. Okay, pop out the chat. Make it full screen. Hi, and let's make it live chat. There we go. Hey, everybody. We're back. Hi, Christian. Or Christina, sorry. Can you come over? You know, there is enough for like 3 people, but Howie might take some in his lunch tomorrow. Hey, Edie, Lori, Susie W, Kim, hi, Blackrock, Robin's Nest, Christina. I'm going to be missing people in a second. Lena K, Lori Kier, Marie Howlett, Robin's Nest, and Sylvester. How are you doing? Hello from Connecticut. Well, I am in Western Quebec. Gracie, just because I'm going live again, it doesn't mean you have to have lovings. And I just got in my chair. Can you go get lovings? Where's Daddy? Go get the duck for Daddy. I love you, Gracie. But I'm not turning my chair around so that you can have your mummy moment. Mummy's working. Let me just plug my phone in here. There we go. Bring you guys just a little bit closer if I can. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Hey, Phoebe. Flavina. Hi. Old Critters. Lori Shaw. Kim Solomon. Christina Burleson. Patricia Griffith. Sally Starnes. Why does that sound familiar? I'm thinking Sally Struthers. I took the time to get myself some more carrots, too. Because it's, you know, tomorrow I'm hoping to have the carrots... Well, let's say hope, okay? I'm hoping to have the carrots done by Wednesday. I know I shouldn't have got 2 more bags, and I should have just got 1 at a time, but they're outside, so they won't mold until they're brought in the house. But they're on the deck, so what I'll do is I'll just take my laundry basket out that I put the carrots in, and I'll just fill it and bring it in. or half fill it. I won't be able to lift it if I fill it. So we'll leave the carrots outside in the cold until they're ready to be peeled. 2 more markets left for the season. Hey, Stephen, how are you? I am not the best cook. I am a decent cook. Trust me. I'm always starving watching her cook. Well, what that is you remember the hamburger I bought on Friday? I divided it into 4 and I put 1 package of the 1/4 of that hamburger in there, and I sliced in an onion, and then I got the hamburger cooked, and then I chopped it all up, and I threw in what was left of my garden gleanings. What are you doing? Here, let me fix it. Here, don't there. Lay down right there. And I poured my garden cleanings in it and a can of home canned kidney beans. She's laying down on the little bath mat here. Big sigh. Big sigh. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Bev, the thing on top of your fridge reminds me of a Target and makes me dizzy. It's not a Target. It's a pastry mat that I got from Temu. Hi, Mrs. V from Bemidji. Just got done doing food prep for the week, taking a break and checking in. Mike and Lisa, Florida backyard. Where's Bemidji? I take it it's Florida, somewhere in Florida. How far are you away from Homestead, Florida? One of these days we're going to go back to Florida when things calm down a bit. Lac de Loup! Really? Here, Lac de Loup? Lac de Loup? Over here, over by Shawville area and that? Fruit Slinger. Well, hello. Come to Pennsylvania. Of course I will. But I don't necessarily want to drive that motor coach through Pennsylvania. Hills are not its favorite thing. Right? Like, yes, it's got a V10 Ford engine in it, but... Oh, that's awesome! Everybody, hey, say hi to Fruit Slinger. Do I know you, Fruit, or are you just checking in? Say hi to Fruit Slinger. Fruit Slinger's a local. And that's awesome. That is awesome. One of these days, I'm going to have a canning party with local people who want to learn how to use a pressure canner. I'm going to have a canning party. I'm going to bring everybody in, get everybody chopping and peeling. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to pressure can. Right? And then we'll have enough carrots that everybody will get their turn on filling the jars and then putting them in the canner. That makes sense, doesn't it? What's Fruit Slinger mean? Like, I'm interested. I'm curious. Black Rock! Kathy, hi, darling. Old critters, hey. So, supper's in the crock. My last 7 jars of garden medley. Well, this is garden gleanings, but I also, you watched me last night grate all the teeny tiny carrots. I just grated them, like I washed them, I cut the ends off and I grated them into the garden vegetables. Zucchini, great big zucchini. If you weren't here when I was here earlier, or yesterday, I had a great big zucchini, the last big zucchini. And I got like 5 or 6 leeks that were about that thick. And I got all my celery. Now listen carefully. If you grow celery and you go out at the end of August or in the beginning of September, and it's like, this is a mild fall for us, right? If you go out, excuse me. You keeping mommy company, my baby. Oh, my baby. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Mommy, baby. Yes. Don't pull your celery up. Now, repeating myself because this is a different channel and not everybody goes to the same channels. Don't pull your celery up. Take your knife and cut it off this far from the ground. And you'll get more celery. I got probably 4 to 5 cups of chopped celery. Okay, but 4 cups of chopped celery and a huge bowl. This bowl was full of the celery tops. Everything was washed. So I put the celery in that and I put the leaves in the freezer for broth making. But this was the last of the tomatoes that I put in the freezer. Remember I made the green tomato bread, and then we put the red ones in the freezer. And then yesterday I harvested the last big zucchini. I didn't even know it was out there. 5 or 6 leeks and all of this celery. And I had all these tiny carrots. The deer carrots are really small this year. And I had all these tiny carrots that were actually too small to peel. So what I did was I just washed them, cut the ends off them, and I grated them into the garden gleanings. And I got 7 quarts. So waste not, want not, right? Thumbs up. Autocorrect. What happened, Lori? What happened? Just working on my dehydrated pantry, starting to pull items from the market to be utilized this winter. Good idea. Fru for red fru. Oh, I'm an ATV mudding channel. Well, that's awesome. I don't think you can leave links here, but if you email me your link at is Linda Bop here? Seashell's here. Hey, Seashell. If you email me, and Seashell's going to put up my email address. If you email me at connectedheartsfamily@gmail.com, send me the link to your channel and I will check it out and I will probably shout you out. I really want to get to know more people locally, but I'm a homebody. I never go anywhere except, occasionally like the Giant Tiger and stuff. So that would be awesome. Hey, Michelle from Louisiana. My pocket pie molds arrived yesterday. Excited to use them. Aren't they just like those folding things? I had a whole set of those once to make pierogies and hand pies and stuff. I might make some hand pies. That's a good idea. Like, why would I make a whole pie? But it'll take us a week to eat a pie, right? Christina Irwin. Hey, Debbie Altman. Judith French. Hi, darling. Absolutely. This is a community that we've built on YouTube. Okay? But I would like to have more people in my community that are closer to home. Because, like-minded people really should start to hang out and get to know each other and teach each other all the valuable... Wait a minute. You sling mud. You mean you're a body man for ATVs? Now I'm hungry. I'm going to do potatoes in my canner soon. My boyfriend and I did about 25 big ball jars of potatoes and still have a few left. I still have probably 15 pounds of potatoes left. And I'm going to can some small ones in pint jars just for hash browns. I didn't like the raw pack method or cold pack method, raw pack method of the onions and potatoes last year. They came out like sludge. So I'm just hoping to get enough carrots peeled today to get 2 canner loads, and then I can peel the rest for tomorrow, and that saves me time. I can get them in the canner in the morning and continue to peel. It's like a conveyor belt here. What you doing, Papa? Looking for stuff. Did you shine your light into the top of your closet? If I were you, I'd get a broom and get all them cobwebs out. What did I say? I'm going to do, yeah. So I still have potatoes to do, but they'll wait because they're in good shape. The carrots will not wait, even though they're sitting outside. These are deer carrots. You bring them inside, 2 days later, they're starting to go soft and moldy. So I have to leave them out on the porch and bring them in as I need them. So, what? Yes, they are. What did I miss? Hi, Karen Belair, sorry. What did I miss? Trish Young. My pocket pie molds arrived yesterday. Excited to use them. Hi, Debbie. Oh my God, I forgot about program. Okay, so I think I'm caught up. So how are you going to do the potatoes then if they turn out to mush? I'm not. I'm going to. Now listen. This is not recommended, and I'm not going to do another video for it. This is why I'm doing so many live videos in the kitchen. You guys have all seen me do this. You've all seen me can carrots. You've all seen me can potatoes, right? So I'm doing different videos right now. Like, well, for starters, the ice maker. The ice maker has been previewed. I love it. I actually like it more than my igloo, because it makes ice cubes bigger. It has more venting panels in the sides so that it doesn't overheat in the summer. What's this? Have you not found it?
No.
Well, order one. Well, you know, I mean, hunting season's in 2 weeks. Like rifles in 2 weeks. No, it's the second week of November, right? So we've got time, right? But we'll look after that after I get offline. We'll go to the RCMP. We'll renew my gun license, and we'll look for your part, and I'll check and see how much money I have left in the bank, and we have in the bank, and then I will send you what you need. I need my 2 sheets for my office. That's all I need right now, and you need your thing. I was planting my beets, but I may be able to pull it off. Here in Mississippi, you probably have enough good weather ahead. I bet you do. Hi, Fanny. Nice to see you. Rita Svet, it's been forever. How are you? Howie's got his PJs on. Oh, he dresses like that all weekend, unless we're going out somewhere. Did you find it? Awesome. You know what? I was looking up there and I thought, nah, he wouldn't put it up there. So I should have listened to myself.
I'm going to still see if I can fabricate this.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to do a video on that either, right?
No, I cancel.
Yeah. Thank you, YouTube. Let's all talk about puppies and kittens and not show anything about survival or hunting or anything like that. Hey, Texas Tiger! Roar! How's it going? I don't know why I did that. Repurposed backyard. I was late. Oh, yeah, you were saying that. But you know what? You're in Mississippi. I bet you got time. As a matter of fact, I have baby carrots out there still, don't we, dear? The ones we just didn't pull them up. I'm just going to let them go. And by the time we get it, maybe next year they'll come back and give me seeds. I don't know. I have parsnip seeds I harvested this year. Gautier. Making an early supper, so I'm just listening today. Okay, Michelle J. I've got supper in the crock pot. I canned up 7 quarts of stuff we got out of the garden yesterday, garden cleanings. And I used the tomatoes that we harvested from the freeze, from the lot when we pulled up the tomato plants. I had, I don't know, probably 20 tomatoes about that big in the freezer. And then I had 2 cans of tomatoes from the store-bought in the pantry, but last time I bought 3 of them and I ate one and I didn't like the flavor. It's like somebody put sugar in it. It was weird, and it didn't say it had sugar in it, but it was weird. So I threw them in with that, just to can them to save them. So Stacy, Phoebe, I thought carrots got sweeter after a frost. Everything gets sweeter after a frost if it doesn't die, but that's parsnips. Parsnips like frost, right? Parsnips need a frost. I got stung by stinging nettle yesterday, and I'm still feeling it, Howie. It's not as bad. I was grabbing my celery and twisting it out to get the roots off, and it was breaking off, leaving the roots in the ground. I only had 3 that I had to cut the roots off. The power just flickered. And that's okay. You know why? Oh my God. Howie, will you unplug my charge cord from the box there and hand it to me? I forgot I have the ports here that I can plug it in. Like in my laptop. Yeah, and then if the power goes, no, I don't need this. Put that back, plug that back in with this facing out. Well, I can't reach it otherwise. Hang on, let's just see if this works. Well, it says it did. My phone must be fully charged. There we go. I have, I have my old laptop here just for this. And since I brought my laptop out, since I brought my laptop out, I have this little silicone mat I put over the keyboard to stop any splashing. Debbie Altman, we cleaned up our garden and I'm going to move the garden and get a greenhouse. I have a real small kitchen, so I have an electric ball water bath canner, no room on the stove, but I can water bath. There you go. If the power goes out, I will lose internet, but my phone and my laptop will run on battery and my phone will go to data. So we're all good. You won't lose me. Well, now, Marie Anderson, you've asked me this a couple of times, and I'm going to explain this to you, okay, sweetie? You're not here to watch what I'm doing. I'm just peeling carrots, okay? So you really don't want to see me just sit here. I can do this for you if you like, but this is about visiting while I work. Right? There's a lot of people here who are actually canning and cutting up their vegetables and doing their prep for meal preps for the week and stuff, who are just sitting here listening and visiting, right? This isn't work with Mrs. Wolfe in the kitchen. It's visit with Mrs. Wolfe. You've seen me peel carrots 100 times probably. So you can't see what I'm doing because I'm just peeling carrots. Joni D. Help me, I think I'm falling in love again. When I get that crazy feeling, I know I'm in trouble again. Joni. I see the name, Joni. I go to Joni Mitchell every time. It's called company. Have you ever bundled smoked neck bones in cheesecloth to cook in bean soup? My 2-year-old great-grandson loves my soup, but I'm worried about small bones. No, I've never done that. I roast mine. This is what I do, okay? When I am making bone broth, I roast my bones, and then I pressure cook them, and then I put a stock pot in the sink, a clean stock pot. I put the strainer on it, and if you want to line it with cheesecloth, that's fine. But I pour it through, and it gets all the little bones, for the most part. Chicken, we have trouble with sometimes. Well, that's because usually I'm making soup, and I'm just taking it out with a ladle out of the thing, and I miss bones occasionally. But you can pour it through the sieve into the stock pot. Put the stock pot in your fridge and take the fat off the top for using in other things. You can wash fat to make suet and stuff. Oh, you know what you got to get next time you're at Canadian Tire? You got to get me some lye, because you used a ton of my lye, and I don't know if I have enough for another batch of soap, and I'm going to be making another batch of soap soon. Hey, Aunt B, how are you? I can only sing so much, or they'll ding me for copyright stuff. I've been dinged for doing covers, you know, on my other channel. Hey, Mary Cook, welcome back. We're going about our day with Bev. That's it, pretty much it. Some of us are knitting. Yellow bird up high in banana tree. Oh, stop. I've plugged it into the computer, and the computer's like, hey, reading with Beverly Wolfe. How's it going? It's like, no, you're plugged in there just to stay charged. and in case the power goes out. Good. It has been a while. It has been a while. Who am I whistling to? Aunt B. God, I'm showing my age, eh? That's from the Andy Griffith Show. Use cotton cloth. You can also line your strainer with an old pillowcase, a clean old pillowcase, right? So it has been a while. Andy Griffith, exactly. Andy Griffith. So my canner has been emptied. My jars are cooling, and I'm waiting for my next. I'm waiting. This dish pan has to be completely, well, actually it doesn't have to be completely full. I can actually probably get some canning done while I'm sitting here. No, I can't. I got to move things around. So I'll get 2 loads and then I'll start peeling again. And if those have to cool down and I have a big dish pan of carrots for tomorrow, that's fine too, right? Julie Phelps, I have a couple of questions regarding jar lids. Do you prefer 4 jars to ball lids? Does 4 jars do a Black Friday sale? I am looking for more lids. Thank you. Okay, what does everybody say? Everybody, you answered Julie Phelps for me because you all know how I feel. I went out, and let me tell you how I feel about 4 jars. I ran out of regular mouth lids. Or regular size mouth lids of my 4 jars. And rather than go to Canadian Tire or the hardware store and buy Bernardin, I went out and spent $120 on largemouth jars because I have 150 largemouth 4 jars lids. I will not trust my canning to anything else. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some Black Friday stuff. I will write the boss and ask, okay, if there's going to be any Black Friday stuff. But I did get, I hope that answers you, honey. Hey, Nat, there you are. Hope you're all having a great day. I started Chantix Thursday and Friday morning, had a painful time breathing. And it started going around and up to my shoulder. Isn't Chantix for quitting smoking? Isn't that what that's for? You will make your broth with them in. Yeah, just, if you use all your bones, put them on a cookie sheet, oven roast them. Just get them just cooked. And then pressure cook them. And then line your sieve. Put it on a stock pot, line your sieve with either a clean old pillowcase or a piece of cheesecloth, and then pour it through. And if you don't want the fat in your broth, put it in your fridge, and then the next day, the fat will be sitting on top of jelly. Your broth will be jelly. That's how you know you got all the good stuff. And remember, when you put your bones in the pressure cooker, let them cool down first and use cold water. Cold water starts the process. It pulls more of the minerals out. And here's another thing. Put in a tablespoon. For every gallon of water you have for your broth that you're making, put in a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. That will help pull more minerals out of the bones. Okay? Wow, that was a whole video in one talk. Made gifts of ball jars to get rid of them. 4 jars for the win. Well, I've ordered 2 more 100 sleeve sets for my 4 jars for my small, and I'm hoping these jars will last until I do have a handful of regular size 4 jars left, but I'm going to use these up first. This is what I bought. Because I have, every time they sent me lids from 4 jars for free, because I'm an affiliate, and they would send me them, they would send me a sleeve of largemouth and a sleeve of smallmouth, and I mostly use smallmouth. So I had 150 largemouth lids left, and this is what I do. This goes into my ring tub. This goes into the kitchen drawer because these are great if you're stocking dry stuff in your pantry and you don't want to use your perfectly good lids. You can use these, right? But these go in. Yeah, right. These go in the drawer. And remember, folks, even if your jars are brand new, you have no idea the machinery they've been through, the factory they've been through, how they've been handled. Always, always, always wash them and rinse them the first time before you use them. You know, I know you wash them, but just because they're new doesn't mean they're clean, right? My husband watches all the old programs. I feel like he relates to that time in his life since his dementia. We watched the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday night. Oh, there you go. Antique lids are better. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But they're hard to get a hold of. The rubber rings are hard to get a hold of. Unchipped glass inserts in the zinc lids are hard to get a hold of. And when we moved to Quebec, we moved into a one-bedroom apartment with 2 kids. There was no way we could bring everything from our house. So things got left behind. An antique radio record player. It had the tubes in it. Those tubes, the glass tubes, when you turn on the radio, it would go boom. And it had shortwave, and you could get Christmas music from all over the world. The only thing missing on it was a needle for the record player, and the record player did slow charging. Yeah, okay, don't worry about it. Don't show me that again. It had 45, 33 and a third, and 75. So the dementia comment. What? Hey, Farmer Red. How's it going? My father-in-law watched Indiana Jones. I had an uncle who watched That Darn Cat. You remember that Disney movie with that darn cat? He watched it over and over and over again. He loved that movie. I know they're being cautious and appreciate it. If anyone wants to know how to use, please make sure they do a deep dive into the side effects of Chantix. Okay, so Chantix is for smoking, right? And if you're experiencing NAT and have a stress test tomorrow, cardio docs want to make sure it's just a reaction and not a small heart attack. If you're having a reaction to the Chantix, stop using it until you know more. Okay? I don't know what year it was. I was never a Disney fan. Never. Hey, dear? Never been a Disney fan. Yes, I watched The Lion King. Yes, I watched The Little Mermaid years ago. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Ooh. Yeah. How he's getting ready for hunting. So he's also trimming my medical. It causes unalivening. What is that? Oh, the records were 78. Okay. The records, 78s. Yes, 78s, 33 and a third, and 45s. But I couldn't get a needle for it. I gave it away for, I bought it for $10. And it was antique. The only thing wrong with it, when I saw it and I said, does it work? We said, we don't know. The cords, nobody will plug that cord in. And it had the cloth, the fabric wrap cord, and it was fraying, and the plug was falling apart. And I went, how much is it? And they said, take it for $10. I did. Took it home. My dad was a hydro man. My dad worked with electricity all of his life before he retired. He was a light repairman for the hydro. Toronto Hydro. I brought it home, took a plug off of like a heavier duty plug off of like a vacuum cleaner. I rewired that plug in there. That thing worked great, didn't it, dear? And you'd hear the tubes heat up and they'd go bong. The tubes in that alone, the glass tubes, how many were there? There was like 3 of them. The glass tubes in that alone were probably worth about $500 to $1,500 a piece. People buy that stuff all the time for old amplifiers and stuff, because old guitar amplifiers don't sound the same as the new ones, right? Chantix made my husband have suicidal thoughts. Doctor took him off it immediately. Apparently, it's a side effect. Yes, the cardio effects suck. I was in so much pain. It took 2 morphine shots to calm everything down and not be in pain. I've not had it since Friday. Now, I didn't get that answer. I didn't see the answer. Is that for quitting smoking? Had a nurse I worked with take it and woke up choking his wife. Ooh, that's not good. I love the old-fashioned TVs that were actual pieces of furniture. God, we've had them. The 27-inch floor models. We had a cabinet stereo when I was a kid. Hi, Cedar Hill Country Market. How are you? Still wearing the apron I made. Hey, how's it going, Giovanna? It's Giovanna, right? How's it going, sweetheart? I love this apron. Everybody loves this apron. I just wish it was bigger, but I love this apron. Okay, it is. Okay. Yeah, I remember when I first, when Arthur was little, I went to my family doctor and I told him I wanted this thing. I forget what it was. It wasn't Chantix. It was something else, but it was to help you quit smoking. And I told him, I said, I got to get, I'm suffering PMS. And he said, and I said, and I want to quit smoking. And he said, okay, if you suffer PMS, first, we got to find out whether it's PMS or whether you have actual a mood disorder. He said, before I put you on that stuff, what the hell was that called? He said, because that's a depressant. And if, it can cause issues. Because my sister-in-law was on it. So I didn't get checked for depression until, 4 years later. So, hi, Chanel. They were beautiful. That's why, yeah, my TV's just a big black slab on the wall over there, but it's on my dad's TV stand that Briar rescued from the rain. Well, Briar was so upset because my sister got it, and she lived down the street from us in Quebec, in Elmer. And she moved from the ground floor to the 3rd floor, and she couldn't get it up the stairs, so she put it out to the garbage, hoping, because in Quebec, you put something out like that in the garbage, people will take it if they need it. Briar school bus came down that end of the street, and he saw it, and he was so upset. And because it's made of hardwood, the thing weighs 100 pounds. And so as soon as Howie got home from work, Briar's like, Dad. So Dad went down the street, put it on, because our neighbor had also phoned us and said, your sister put this out. And she said, I don't think it's supposed to be out in the rain. She said, I dragged it back closer to the building so that it didn't get so wet. And Howie went down and he lifted that TV stand on his back and he carried it all the way. That thing's made of 2x6s, right? Buspirone for depression and stop smoking. Nortriptyline, no. It was called something else. It was a long time ago. Well, those are his comfies. In the summertime, it's boxers. He wears them over his underwear and around the house. And when he's cold, he wants to get the fire going, and I won't let him. Because he sleeps downstairs where he has control of the temperature. I need cold. Except this morning, I said, come and close my window, I'm freezing. Because I left my window open and the temperature dropped quite a bit last night. Hey, Susan Fain, how are you? Sally Ellis from Gilbert, AZ. Had a corner bed with a built-in stereo and record player in bright yellow. You had one single twin bed fit in each side. Oh, wow. Yeah, my brother used to have a reel-to-reel. My Uncle Bill, God rest his soul, my mom's older brother, one of my mom's older brothers, would record music from a reel-to-reel, and then he would make up. He was one for mixed tapes, right? And we went down there on our honeymoon. And Uncle Bill, God love them. Uncle Bill, we were going to see the island, right? And I wanted to take our station wagon, but Uncle Bill insisted on driving his car. So I sat in the front with Uncle Bill. And Howie sat in the back with Aunt Gladys, and I think it was Robert, Kathy's eldest boy. Anyway, Uncle Bill's got his mixtapes of Cab Calloway and all this, you know, not 40s music and stuff, like zoot suit wearing kind of jazz and big band music and stuff. And he just have her cranked. I know where I get it from, eh, dear? He'd just have the music cranked and he'd look over at me and go, yeah, yeah, right? And we stopped at a store somewhere, and Howie and Uncle Bill went in to get something, and I said something to Aunt Gladys, and she's in the back seat. And she went like this and pulled out earplugs and said, what? Marriage! Marriage! Right? So, I think they also slept in separate rooms, didn't they? I'm not sure. I don't know. But I recommend hypnosis. You know what I did? For starters, you're not going to quit smoking until you want to quit smoking. You can say, I'm doing it for my health, I'm doing it for my grandkids, I'm doing it for this, I'm doing it for that. Unless you've had enough of what the cigarettes are doing to you, you will never quit. Eh, dear? You've got to say, I've had enough. I'm choosing life. Right? It's got to be for you. You can't, and I'll tell you something, my cigarette addiction was harder to kick than the alcohol, wasn't it, dear? It was my monster. If I picked up cigarettes today, it could be a possible divorce issue. Because I might never get contented cleanliness from cigarettes again. Because it's that insidious for me. Cigarettes were my worst. I was smoking since I was 12, right? So you've got to want it for you. Now, when I first quit smoking, and I had a couple of backslide moments, right? I mean, where I had a puff here and there. Once I had a car accident and I had a couple of cigarettes afterwards for the shock because somebody gave me a cigarette and coffee. And I said, yes, please. And then I was sneaking puffs from other people's cigarettes at work. Yeah, this was pre-pandemic shit. So I was taking puffs of other people's cigarettes. And then one day after a week, I considered going across the street and buying a pack of smokes. And I went, uh-oh. And I thought, customers, everything waited while I picked up the phone and I phoned Howie and I confessed that I had been smoking. Now, not buying cigarettes and not having whole cigarettes, just taking puffs. And he went, Bev. I said, that's why I'm telling you. That's why I'm telling you. Right? And I stopped again. Right? Because I would take a couple of puffs and then I would eat some mint flavored fudge and spritz myself with stuff. So you couldn't smell it on me. That's deception. And it's a slippery slope for an addict. When you start hiding shit, it's a problem. Right? And I wasn't even smoking. I didn't buy anything. And my boss was standing behind me handling the customers while I talked to Howie on the phone. Turn around, kick me in the ass. You've been what? Right? So I'm going to tell you, if you want to hear about my journey of quitting smoking. And it's not pretty, like any addiction is not pretty. It's my monster right now, and I've tried kind of with different things. Well, I'll tell you something. I got bronchitis. Actually, it was bronchial pneumonia, I believe. And God bless Dee Dee and Vanessa, because if it wasn't for them, I might have died. Because Howie was at work, and I had been sick for days. And Dee Dee phoned me and said, yeah, I know they don't talk to me anymore, and that's okay, right? I love them anyway, and that's okay, you know? Sometimes you gotta love people from a distance, right? Just because they're not in my life doesn't mean I have to stop loving them, right? Don't necessarily like all the people I love, but that's just the way it is. Anyway, Dee Dee phoned me, and I was in bed. This is when we lived in Deschaines, in Elmer. And she phoned me and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm so sick, right? Briar was at school, and Arthur and Briar were at school. I said, I'm so sick, right? What? For heavy duty? Good. Excellent. We need more. For the people that were in the last live stream, they'll know what I'm talking about. So I had bronchial pneumonia. So I was talking to Dee Dee on the phone, I said, just a minute. I'm going to sit up. And I sat up. And because I had been laying down, my lungs and bronchial tubes were only, like, think about it this way. Think of this as your lung, right? And if you've got fluid in it, lying down kind of makes you feel almost like you can breathe. But when I sat up, it was like my lungs and my bronchial tubes felt flooded and I couldn't breathe. I was like, coughing. And Dee Dee said, get off the phone, Bev. I'm phoning Vanessa. You're going to the walk-in clinic right now. And I said, no. She said, now. And I went to, Vanessa came, that's Dee Dee's younger sister. Angie's two younger sisters, Dee Dee and Vanessa. And she took me to the clinic, and rather than put me in the waiting room, they took one look at me that I was struggling to breathe, and they took me right in. And I was coughing so hard that I pissed my pants on the gurney in the examination room of the clinic. That's not something I like to admit. But when you start losing bodily functions because you can't breathe, you know shit's going sideways, right? So the doctor came and saw me, and Vanessa went and got me a jacket out of the car so I could wrap it around my backside while I was leaving. But he said he put me on prednisone. He put me on a puffer to dilate my lungs and another puffer to keep them open, and amoxicillin, because he said obviously I was infected, like I had like pneumonia. And then he prescribed me 3 different steps of cigarette patches. The step down, the 3-2-1, and he said, you have to quit smoking right now. And I said, yes, sir. I didn't quit right there. I waited till I was feeling better. And this is how I know how sick I really was. Because now here's something you need to know. If you're on antibiotics for any reason, even when you feel like you're completely healed, you continue to take the antibiotics till the prescription is done. Why? Now, I'm not telling you this as a medical professional. I'm telling you what my doctor told me. If you don't, even if you're feeling better and you're completely healed, don't stop taking it, because what happens is they give you a measured dose to make sure you're clear completely, even when you're feeling well. If you don't take the full dose, it can come back faster and be worse the second time. Like you can get it back if you don't, even though you're feeling well. I was on the antibiotics and the puffers and the prednisone for 10 days. And I still was coughing, but I could breathe. So after all the medication was done, and I went, I'm still struggling some. I said, are you ready, Howie? And he said, yep. And with the last of the cigarettes went in the garbage, because I'd only smoked like 10 over those 10 days, right? And then we started on the patch. Well, the number 3 patch is the strongest. And I discovered it was too strong, Howie? I kept it on the first night for 24 hours, right in bed and everything, because I would wake up in the middle of the night and have a cigarette. That's how addicted I was, right? But I couldn't sleep. It made me jittery. So the next day, I took it off in the night, and when I got up in the morning, I put it on at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, whenever I got up to get Howie off to work, and I would take it off at bedtime. And over a 10-day period, when I would get up in the morning, I would put it on later and take it off earlier. And the last day I had it on for 2 hours. I never even got to the 2 and the 1. I just went 2 hours was my last one. And I was fine until Dee Dee came over and we sat outside and she had a cigarette and I had a puff. And then, and I smoked when we were camping too at Long Lake too. I had a couple of cigarettes with the crazy lady. Yeah, it's not just special. Do you remember her? Yeah, vaguely. So, hey, Rem's Family Farm. How are you, darling? It's been a bit. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So, that's how I did it. I never even used. I gave them away to somebody else who wanted to quit smoking. And I had a couple of backslides, one with Dee Dee on the back porch, and I just had a puff. And then when we went camping at Long Lake, I had about 5 cigarettes because she was smoking right next to me on the beach, and we were visiting this crazy lady. And when I wrecked the Acura back in, I think it was 2007, because I was still at the bakery, but we had moved in here, and I wrecked the Acura. And the lady who got me out of the ditch had a Tim Hortons coffee and a 100-millimeter cigarette in her hand. I said, "Can I have one of those?" She said, "Absolutely. You want a coffee with it?" And she just handed me her coffee and her cigarette. She got me to the side of the road and sat in the passenger seat, and she said, "Don't move. I'm calling an ambulance." I don't need an ambulance. I need a tow truck. And she said, "No, you need an ambulance." And she phoned Howie for me because I was shaking so bad. And I'm called the ditch witch for a reason. It's not funny. I'm called the ditch witch for a reason. And Howie goes, "Why do you always end up in the ditch?" I've put the Jimmy in the ditch twice. I didn't put the truck in the ditch, did I? No, not the black Dodge. No, I put that in the ditch. I put the Acura, I put the Jimmy in the ditch twice. I put the Acura in the ditch, totaled it. Like flipped it around. It looked like a squash pop can that went like that. And I put the Topaz in the ditch over here. Because some little old lady, we don't have any shoulders on the roads out here in our area. And we had a heavy snow when I was coming home from work. And some little old lady was coming around the corner in the middle of the road. And I had to move to get out of the way. And I just went woof, right into a snowbank, like into a snowdrift in the ditch. That's where I got the name Ditch Witch. Howie said, "How do you always hit the ditch?" I said, "Because if I'm losing control of the car, I steer to the ditch if I can. Because I don't want to steer into anything that may be oncoming traffic. That's just a reflex action for me." So it's a good reflex action. It's good to be the Ditch Witch. So I used to smoke cigarettes at age 16 till I was 27, went cold turkey, and I have been at least smoke-free for 10 years or so. It was 2007 when I wrecked the Acura. So I've been smoke-free, I'm going to say 2008 onwards. So what's that? My math gets backwards. Okay, what's 23 minus 8 is 15. So I've been smoke-free for 15 years. Alcohol-free for 26. And I don't miss it. Not at all. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Marie. Hey, Paula, how's it going? Brupton, Chantix, Wellbutrin, vape, hard candies, mints, prescription, and OTC patches, generic brands. A nurse shared her success as I was heading to anesthesia for back injections. No more cigarettes 2 months later. Good job. Good job, Paula. Hey, Linda Saya, how are you? So that was in June 2007, and I smoked off and on for a week after that because the monster got a hold of me. See, addiction's about avoiding the first contact with the drug of your choice, right? When we first got sober, we were 6 months sober, weren't we, Howie? June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It was December. And somebody brought in Nanaimo bars, right? Like we were actually taking a 28-day course where we were working through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with old timers. And we worked through all the steps and all the traditions, and we did in-depth stuff. We didn't just talk about it. We had homework every time, right? We did this every Sunday for 28 weeks. And we talked about alcohol for alcoholics reacting like an allergy. Okay. Gracie loves corn. She cannot have it. And we got to keep it away from her or she will eat it and her ears will get like herpes in them and all kinds of stuff, right? I quit a year before my mom died of lung cancer. Good. God bless you. I was at a pack a day and stopped one morning like nothing. My brother-in-law was like, Howie was like that. Howie said, oh, I sleep extra for a couple of days. I get a little jittery, but no. He quit friggin' smoking the first time with me smoking in the house. I don't know how you did that.
Don't remember.
Men are different. A lot of men are different, but my brother-in-law was like that too. He could take it or leave it. My cousin Vanessa was like that. She could have a pack of cigarettes last her for like 2 weeks. She'd just have one every couple of days. You know what I mean? But the thing is, with addiction, is to avoid first contact. And when Howie and I were 6 months sober, it was the month of Christmas, and someone brought in Nanaimo bars. And they were spearmint Nanaimo bars. They were greenish. And Howie's like, ooh, she brought them in, put them on the, the lunch table or counter or whatever it was. And Howie went, ooh. And he took one and he was going back to work and he bit in it. Now, correct me if I'm getting this wrong. He bit in it and immediately his nose and your ear tips started to tingle. And then he got this rush of hot flush go right up his face. And he said, I immediately wanted a drink. Right? I got that right? Okay. Because he was at work, I was at home. And he phoned me and he said, have I broken my... And he went back in the office and he asked the girl, what's in these Nanaimo bars? And she remembered. Because Nanaimo bars aren't baked. So you don't bake the alcohol out. Right? They are a raw product. And she said, oh my God, I forgot. She said, I used peppermint or spearmint schnapps or peppermint schnapps or whatever it was. And then Howie threw out the other half, got on the phone with me, and he said, have I broken my sobriety? And I said, no. I said, did you continue to eat it after you realized there was alcohol in it? He said, no. I said, then no. That is what I call a slip. A slip is when you unintentionally imbibe an alcohol and you're not aware of it until after it's happened. Some people say, oh, I had a slip. No, Suzanne. You got off the bus at a bar and walked in voluntarily and got a drink. That's not a slip. That's a relapse. There's a big difference in my book, right? But, oh, did I tell you there's a meeting in Wakefield on Tuesday nights? Maybe we'll go one night just to see how, get some, discussion in us. But, so that's how, and how he said that eating that, like taking a bite of that Nanaimo bar was, we had just been going through that alcohol is an allergy and your body responds to it like an allergy and you want more. It triggers you to want more. That's the allergic effect of alcohol in alcoholics. This is just my own personal experience, folks. Okay? And Howie said we had been working through that 28-week program. And they were taught, and he said he correlated that reaction to what we had just learned about alcohol being an allergy, an allergen for alcoholics. And it was then he went, you know what? I knew I could never touch the stuff again. Even though we knew then that we could never touch the stuff again, it cemented it into his brain that it's not good for us, that it's an allergen, right? Oh, how you been, Aunt B? I bet you it's been a busy summer. A lot of people are addicted to sugar and carbs. Well, Howie's a diabetic, isn't he? But the thing is you know how I feel about, I'm peeling one of these. You know how I feel about artificial sweeteners. If you're going to use one, don't do both. Never, ever, ever combine in your diet artificial sweeteners and sugar, because it's my belief or my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that artificial sweeteners are chemicals, and I've heard that they're really they can hasten the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. That's what I've heard, that all artificial sweeteners, aluminum and MSG, are to be strictly avoided at all costs. Yes, we have MSG occasionally, we can't avoid it, but we don't deliberately choose it, right? artificial sweeteners trick your body, your pancreas, into thinking it's getting sugar consequence-free. Right? Oh, I'm having sugar, la-di-da, and it's not doing anything. But if you go get a coffee or a sweetener, I've been trying to explain this to my sister-in-law, Karen. If you get a cup of coffee with sugar or French vanilla, la, 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 la in it, your pancreas goes, whoa! That, okay, instead of drinking the cup of coffee with the caramel swirl and all that stuff, and you drink it and you've been on artificial sweeteners and you put sugar in your system, it's not like drinking a sweetened coffee with caramel sauce. It's like drinking 10 of them. Do you understand? As the sugar goes, your body goes, we've been having consequence-free sugar and you've just dumped a bag of sugar into your system. That's what your body thinks. That's what your pancreas does. So you either live by the artificial sweeteners or you live by diet, reducing sugar in your diet. Now, I get people all the time going, you're going to kill your husband. Isn't he a diabetic? What do we say to that, Howie? His diabetes is well managed. Well managed. And when I bake, just because I give you guys the amounts you're supposed to put in it, I put a lot less sugar, and we don't eat like that all the time. Winter's the worst time because I bake pies and things, but I don't do it often, right? So pick a side. Either stick with the artificial sweeteners and hope that there's no Alzheimer's dementia in your family, or reduce the sugar in your diet. Use it very, very sparingly, like a piece of pie, or like Howie gets a bottle of Dr. Pepper. That lasts you, what, 2-3 weeks? Usually 2-3 weeks. Because he'll have one. He'll have one glass of pop, like every 3 days or something if he's feeling like it. I mean, that bottle of pop you had was from before Thanksgiving. What's that? That looks like a...
Piece of broccoli?
Yeah. Looks like broccoli. So, I'm batting 1,000 this week. I've made another live chat. Hi, Luann. Moderation in all things. Exactly. Right? Now, if we really... Huh? Except for alcohol with alcoholics. You know how I know I'm an alcoholic? I didn't drink every day. Right? This is how I knew. Because I came close to drinking on a regular basis, though. Near the end, I was drinking every weekend. Hey, dear? And Howie was a daily drinker. I was a binge drinker. Right? And I had family members who weren't alcoholics and say, you're not an alcoholic, Bev. Right? And I'd say, you're going to have a beer with me, right? And part of my brain would go, well, maybe they're right. And then I went, because Howie and I split up a couple of times. I ran away no, we didn't split up. I ran away a couple of times to get my shit together. Right? And I said to this one cousin, I said, even if I'm not an alcoholic, what example am I setting for my children that I leave their father because our alcoholism is unmanageable and I pick up a beer? What is that telling my children? No, I won't do it, right? And let me give you another thing. You're an alcoholic when somebody has a drink and they put it down and they walk away and they don't come back for it. And you obsess over how they could have left a 3/4 full drink sitting there and walked away from it. I would obsess over that. I remember when I first ran away to Quebec, I went out to the bars, a couple of bars with Dee Dee and Vanessa. And I was drinking water, right? But they bought a pitcher of beer and they both drank a glass while we were talking. And then they went to dance and visit. And they left the pitcher of beer sitting on the table. And I'm like, you just walking away from almost full pitcher of beer? You know what I mean? You're an alcoholic when you have to ask yourself, am I an alcoholic? That's a pretty good indication. right? We wouldn't be having this conversation if I wasn't an alcoholic, would we, dear? No. So if you got to ask yourself, it's time. It's time to ask look up the 20 questions, right? Look up the 20 questions on aa.org and ask themselves, because I didn't drink every day. And I could 50% of the time, 60% of the time I could buy it. And whiskey was my drug of choice, next to cigarettes. But I could have a couple of drinks sometimes and I had to hide it from Howie. But I would put it away in the cupboard for another day. But the truth is, just because I could put it away that day didn't mean I could put it away the next time. The next time I drank, I might wake up from a blackout driving down the road with my kids in the car.
Yeah.
So I didn't always get in trouble when I drank, but when I got in trouble, it was because I had drank. Does that make sense? PFAS! Best thing I did was stop drinking. Not because I had an issue, just stopped enjoying it. It drives me mad how socially acceptable it is. You get that. I get that. Alcohol and cigarettes. Well, they're trying to make cigarettes non-socially acceptable by banning them everywhere. But when I was a kid, you go into a diner that was blue with smoke because everybody at the table smoked. But it started getting it was proven that secondhand smoke was deadly to people when a waitress who worked in a diner for 35 years got lung cancer, and she never smoked a day in her life. But she got it from working in a diner where everybody smoked. So, I mean, it's been a slow haul, right? Nobody's allowed to smoke in my house. Hell, they're not even allowed to smoke in front of an open window outside because I smell it and I want it, right? Where alcohol, the last time I bought a 40-pounder, still call it a 40-pounder, bought a 40-ounce bottle of 90 proof alcohol to make RSO oil. That's what they call it. It's stupid, I know, but just because he used, never mind, I don't want to talk about it. But when I opened that bottle to soak my leaves to make the tincture that I could evaporate off for the oil, take care, Linda Venord. Everybody, when I opened the bottle, I wanted to be sick. It actually cramped my stomach, the smell of it. Because the first time I opened the bottle, of course I'm going to smell it. I'm an alcoholic, right? But it made my stomach, made me nauseous. Gave me a cramp in my stomach and made me nauseous. So the whole time I was evaporating it, I put the bowl on I had a round crock pot at the time, and I put the water in the crock pot, put it on low, and I put the bowl on top. And I had it under the vent that was venting outside. Because it's, and you don't want to do that around open flames and stuff. March 20th, 2024, I will be 25th drug-free anniversary. Bravo. I often tell Howie it's a blessing that I'm the doctors don't think so, but it's a blessing that I can't take opioids. I'm allergic to them. It's a blessing. Why? Because I would be so easily addicted to them. Right? So God just said, no, you don't need to deal with that. You've dealt with alcohol. You've dealt with cigarettes. Let me just take this off the table for you. That's the way I look at it, dear? I'll tell you, when I quit, I was 2.5 packs a day. I smoked 2.5 packs a day for 20 years. I smoked, by the time I was 18, I was smoking 2 packs a day. And I started at 12, right? Well, I'm glad, Aunt B. But you know what? Never forget. Because the moment you forget how bad it got, it's the moment you start thinking about picking it back up again, right? So, when it's a standing joke. It's a standing joke that when Howie and I sobered up, The day of Howie's 1 year medallion. The day of Howie, because we sobered up. You're the 4th, right? I'm the 2nd. Right. I thought it was the 1st, but I sobered up on June 2nd. Howie sobered up on June 4th. And so we had our 1 year medallions. We were going to do them together, and our sponsor said, no, it's your 1 year medallion. It's got to be, and it's not about you. It's about everybody that sees you, that may be questioning their alcoholism. Well, the day I got my medallion, we stepped it because our meeting was in the municipal building. And when we came out, there was some kind of little parade coming down. There was something going on, and there was a little marching band. And I went, look, Howie, they gave me a marching band for my 1 year medallion, right? Because alcoholics, it's all about you, right? And the Sunday that Howie got his 1 year medallion was the first Sunday they opened liquor stores on Sunday for the first time. They had to make up for the lost revenue. That's the joke, right? But I mean, shit. We knew the bootlegger, didn't we, dear? If there was no if he had no beer on a Sunday, we knew where to go. You paid twice as much, but we knew where to go, right? Smokes for 3 years. Oh my God, I did that for 20 years. 20 years. And I'll tell you something. My doctor, when I was 18, when I got bronchitis, Dr. Wag, God rest his soul, up in Apsley, he said, how much do you smoke? I said, 1-2 packs a day. And he went, Beverly, if you don't quit smoking now, you're going to have emphysema by the time you're 40. Do you know when I got the bronchial pneumonia? I was 38. I was that close. If I had kept, I'd probably be, I probably wouldn't be married. But, no, we'd still be married because, you quit with me the second time. He picked up his cigarettes again because of me, because my dad died. Hey, dear. But we quit together. And we do everything together, really. Sober since 2016. Bravo! My mother and grandpa got lung cancer in the 40s. I quit at 39. I promised my mom on her deathbed I'd quit. How do you manage pain after, let's say, a surgery, if you can't take opiates? Well, that's the question, isn't it? I avoid surgery like the plague. I've had my share of surgeries. Howie just said, you've had your share. Okay. I had my first surgery when I was 12. I got my tonsils out, and they couldn't figure out why I kept vomiting. They didn't attribute it to the Demerol. My next surgery was breast reduction surgery. And I got violently sick. And they switched me from Demerol to morphine. But they didn't tell me that they had switched me. I just got violently sick. Isn't that a great thing? Well, why don't you take a smaller tray or plate or something over with you, and then you can grab it all at once. Well, don't bend over in front of me like that. It gives me ideas. I want to pitch that cheeky bum. Anyway, the next surgery was I had giant cell tumors in this finger, and I had to have them operated on, and they gave me Talwin, which I could only take so much before I would get sick, but it worked. And then I had a cyst removed from my left ovary, and when they were coming in, I was in Toronto, and my brother was with me. I was 22. And when I woke up I woke up in my room like this, with the nurse walking towards me with a needle. Now, please disregard the language, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I said. And I said, I'm like this, right? And I go, what's in that needle? And she said, Demerol. I said, don't give me Demerol. And she said, why? I said, I'm allergic to it. And she looked at my chart and she said, well, it's not on your chart. I said, no, I just figured it out. Now, she's not going to listen to somebody who's just coming out of anesthetic, right? This is when I learned to talk to doctors before pain got really bad, right? She said, "Oh, we're just going to give it to you with we put Gravol in it." And she got down to the nurse's station, and I was projectile vomiting all over the place. My brother Billy's going, "Oh, baby," and he's trying to clean me up and give me a kidney pan, and he's ringing the bell. And there's a big, beautiful set of roses from one of my other brothers, and she comes back in, and I'm vomiting into a kidney pan. Now I've just had. And they couldn't do a bikini cut because of the position of the cyst on my ovary. So they went right up. Now you can imagine how painful vomiting is after you've got a scar from your pubis bone up to almost your navel. What, dear?
I said, do you got to go pee-pees?
Oh, and no, thank you. and she said, "What happened?" And I looked right at her while I was vomiting. And I said, "You gave me Demerol, you stupid bitch." And she went, and Billy went, "Ooh, ooh." She said, I understand. She said, "I am so sorry." And they switched me to morphine. And after that, it was like no more Demerol, right? Then I had Arthur, C-section. Okay, I got to remember this now because I get a little fuzzy. Then I had Arthur via C-section. Morphine was fine. Then I had Breyer C-section, and the morphine was fine. And then I had an incarcerated hernia, umbilical hernia that I got from Breyer. It wasn't incarcerated, but I had this. It looked like half a purple golf ball on my belly button. And the doctor said, if it ever gets painful or red or hot, you phone me right away. But she said, for now, it's fine. And my doctor was away. When it got painful. And again, another angel saved my life. Her name happened to be Angie. Angie, my British friend. She came one day and I was in bed because my belly was hurting. And I had phoned the doctor. I had to lay on it to keep it from hurting. And I phoned my doctor. My doctor was away on holiday for 2 weeks. So my friend Angie came to visit me for a cup of tea. And she knocked on the door, and by the time I got down the stairs, she would have been in her car and gone, except she was writing a note to leave on my door. And I got down to the bottom of the stairs, and I said, "Hey," and she said, "Oh, I was just leaving you a note." And she said, "Well, where were I?" told her I was in bed, and I told her what was wrong. She said, "Let me see." And she looked, and my purple half a golf ball was there, but all around it was hard and red and hot. And she said, "You're going to the hospital right now." I said, "Angie, there's a doctor strike on." I said, "They sent me home with a broken finger without even x-raying it. I mean, this is nothing, right?" She said, "No, you're going to the hospital right now." And she took me to the hospital. And the doctor, there was a young doctor on in Emerge. And he laid me down and he examined it. And he pushed it back in. And then he helped me sit up. And as soon as I sat up, you could feel it go boom, because it had torn. A hernia is where it tears the muscle wall. Okay. And when it's incarcerated, it means organ tissue. Every time you move or bend, the fissure in your muscle opens and organs get in, and then it closes on the organs, and it can cause necropsis. It can start killing your bowels, right? So he pushed it in. And I sat up and it popped right back out. And he said, "Okay, get dressed." And I sat down. And he said, "Sit down there for a minute." And he just stood there looking at me, sat there looking at me like that. Because he couldn't have been any more than 30. And he's looking at me like this. And he said, "Okay, I've got to consult with somebody." He said, "Would you go out in the waiting room, please?" And I said, "Oh, okay." So I went out in the waiting room. I'm not thinking anything of it, right? And my kids are going to get off the school bus. And I'm looking at the clock going, I got to go home. I'm telling I said, "I don't know what he wants, but I've got to go home." And she said, the doctor came out to me and he said, "I'm trying to get a hold of a surgeon." He said, "You have a really bad incarcerated hernia. You need immediate surgery." And I said, "I've got to go home and get my kids off the school." Walk by really quick, Howie, just quick. Don't lift it up. Just
lift it up.
Okay, lift it up.
And that just went up.
Quick. Oh. So my mom smoked, and I hated it when I was 25 and pregnant with our first. I told mom she had to quit or she wouldn't see her grandchild. Oh, that's not good. She quit but came out of menopause and got pregnant. Oh my God. Well, I mean, anyway, he came out because I told the receptionist, I've got to go home. I got kids getting off the school bus, right? Briar was in kindergarten, right? Kindergarten, grade 1, maybe. No, kindergarten. So she said, wait a second. She went, the doctor examined me. He said, you need surgery. He said, by all means, go home and see your kids off the bus, get a babysitter, and wait by the phone. He said, because I've got to call a surgeon, right? I went back. I had to go back in to see the surgeon, and he checked it out. He said, don't eat anything. Have you eaten? I said, no. He said, don't eat anything. He said, you're having surgery tomorrow. He said, I've just got to get my hands. And he, right in front of me, picked up the phone and called an anesthetist and said, will you come in for this? I don't even know. I got it the next morning. Because apparently, if I had waited any longer, I would have had to have part of my bowel resected. It was that incarcerated, right? So, long story short, it's an in and out surgery, right? And I had a happy face smile under my belly button. My belly button went back to looking normal, right? And I woke up in the recovery room, and Mom and Nan and Howie were waiting in the room, but they could see me, right, dear? You could see me when she was giving me the morphine, right? He could see me because he was in the other room, but the door was open. And the nurse said to me, okay, you might feel a little burning sensation as I inject the morphine into your intravenous. Now, I'm just off of anesthetic, and you have a tendency to speak the truth. I said, oh, I'm used to that shit. Shoot me up. That's what I said. She kind of looked at me weird. No, I've never done intravenous drugs, except in the doctors give me in the hospital. But as soon as it went in, my whole arm went bump, 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 swelled right up, and I started vomiting. And she went, ooh, no morphine for you. See, after a while, it stops working, and it doesn't just stop working, I become allergic. So after that, I had the carpal tunnel surgery in my hand, and they put me on oxys. They put me on, or was it Tylenol 3s? I can't remember which. They put me on oxys or Tylenol 3s, and I can't remember. But the last surgery I had, nothing worked. Nothing worked. They put me, because I had to have both my ovaries removed, and I had 6 incarcerated hernias all around the same belly button. And the doctor came in afterward. They got 2 surgeons, a general surgeon and an OBGYN, to operate me. 2 surgeons from 2 different hospitals that had operating privileges at the same hospital. And the gynecologist worked on me first and took my ovaries. Apparently they were really nasty. I have no idea. I've never seen that gynecologist again. And the general surgeon fixed my hernias. Now, because I'd had ovary surgery and 2 C-sections, they kept going through the same vertical scar. And I'd had my gastric bypass surgery. No. Yes, I'd had gastric bypass surgery as well. Okay, how could I forget that, eh? And so when this was my last surgery, was this one, and they had to take this wide, a 8-pound strip from the original scars. They had to cut around it on either side and pull that out and restitch me back together because they couldn't get through the scar tissue. The scar tissue was just too much, right? So I had drains coming out of me, and they put me on an epidural for the pain because it said the amount of pain I was going to be in was not going to be able to be handled by just oxy or whatever it was they were going to give me. So they gave me an epidural of what they thought I could still have, which was hydromorphone, I think. And when I woke up in the recovery room, I started crying and trying to take out the intravenous. I was itchy all over. It was like being covered in fire ants all over my body. And so they gave me a drip. I had so many bags and drips. They gave me something called Darcod, which was supposed to alleviate the allergic reaction, the itching, and it didn't. And so they had me on that plus a shot of Benadryl every 4 hours. And after day 3, I was begging them to take the epidural out, because even though it worked, I was still like, have you ever sat in a chair on a really hot day and you've got fabric covering the chair because you don't want to sweat, but the sweat is itching you? You know, your skin's itchy from the sweat. That's what it felt like. And I couldn't stand it. So we're going to avoid surgery because they've exhausted their resources for pain meds. The only thing I can think of that when I had my colonoscopy, I think they used Valium. And that explains, because they use that for when they put the stents in your heart, right?
I like Valium. I just didn't give a shit what he was doing.
You didn't give a shit what he was doing. Well, that's what they used for the colonoscopy, and they couldn't believe I was awake. I stayed awake for the first one. I filmed the second one. And the reason I stayed awake is because Valium has the opposite effect on me. I get perky, right? I can't have Valium. I can't have Librium. I go off the wall. Thank God you couldn't take opioids. It's the most horrible addiction to kick. I have quit alcohol and opiates, but I can't quit smoking yet, and I'm 68. Listen, Cindy, pick your battles, okay? If you can't quit smoking, you can't quit smoking. Do your best to cut down, okay? Do your best to cut down. You won't quit smoking until it threatens your life like alcohol and opiates did, right? Until you personally feel the threat, like I did when I got the bronchial pneumonia. Oh yeah, it's time to quit. I don't want to die. I got kids, right? I didn't want this all to be about medical stuff, but we got talking about addiction. My skin has been like fire ants for 4 years. I've been on okay for a few weeks now. It's the pre-shredded cheese and stuff they put in it. They have a mold inhibitor in it. I thought they just put sawdust in it and called it cellulose fiber, because that's what they call it, cellulose fiber, because wood is technically a vegetable. So they call it cellulose vegetable fiber. It's actually wood pulp. Oh, good for you, Darlene. I have an MRI, guided breast MRI coming up, and we'll need lorazepam for that. Oh yeah. When I had my MRI, they slid me into that thing like a sausage casing. I'm not kidding. They had to put towels on my arms because they didn't send me to the one. I said, oh no, it'll do 350 pounds. I wasn't 350 pounds. I was 320, what I am right now. But I am claustrophobic, right? Like my office is getting to me. I'm claustrophobic to a slight degree. But when I slid into that tube, they had to put towels on my arms and cross my arms like this first, because my arms were squeaking and getting stuck on the inside of it. And then I was in there for 30 minutes and they're playing music and I got tears leaking out of my eyes, and I'm doing everything I can not to panic. I can't breathe deep because you have to hold your breath at certain points, and they don't want you breathing too deep because things move. So I'm there, I'm singing. I'm in there with just from here up, sticking out of the MRI machine. And I'm singing, you are my sunshine, show me the way to go home, And they're going, and I got tears leaking out of my eyes because I'm I had to go outside my brain to be there. And they actually had to do some of them twice. So when I got out, they said, you did really good, because they could see that I was fighting panic, right? They said you did really good, but next time, make sure you go to Gatineau to the big, tell them you need the big machine. She said, because that was too much for you. So there is a chance I have cancer. Well, don't own that shit. It's just a chance, right? Until you know otherwise, you don't. Period, full stop. Don't let that. Remember, you know how we talk about negative and positive? If you feed the negative grows stronger. Fear is the biggest negative out there. Biggest negative out there, right? It feeds the darkness like sugar water. You know what I mean? And so, you know, don't own that, right? Until you know better, everything's cool. Okay? And if you do find out, then guess what? Then you deal with it. But don't borrow trouble before it happens, honey. And we will all pray for a good outcome. Hey, Dixie Muir, how's it going, honey? This is an early catch. Good. Good girl. Good girl. Bruce has to use the big machine because he's a big guy. 6 foot 330. 6 foot. Ooh, that's a big boy. That's like John. Brother John's like 6'2". Yeah, he's huge. He just doesn't look it because he's so big. Like he's proportionate, right? Hey, Kay, how's it going? Well, listen, folks, I'm ready to do a load of carrots, and then I'm going to sit back down and peel some more for another load. We've been on here for an hour and a half, and I am so sorry that I've kept you enthralled with all my medical mishaps and things. What I'm saying, when we talk about addiction, if you have to ask yourself if you're addicted, then it's a pretty good chance. Because people who aren't alcoholics don't ask themselves if they maybe have a problem. They don't, right? It's not even in their conversational wheelhouse, right? But if you have to ask yourself, ooh, you know, I was hungover, couldn't go to work. Oh, or I went out for lunch and had one too many beers or martinis and didn't make it back to work. Oh, you might want to look at that. You know what I mean? Does your behavior change when you're using that product? Right? Because they don't call it, you know, Jekyll and Hyde, the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is such a perfect correlation of what addiction can do to you. Right? Yes, he turns into a monster. But if you think about it, exactly, right? You were never a monster, dear. You only ever raised your hand to me once, and you never hit me. I've hit you, however. We know that, and I'm on my last strike. So, hey, Willows. And if it changes your behavior, if you would do things on a substance, whether it be alcohol, opiates, drugs, cigarettes, if you would behave in my case, if you took the cigarettes away, I became a monster. That's basically, you know, give it to me, right? But if you look at Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll drank the potion and it changed him. It made him a monster. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is an actual story about addiction. Okay? So if what you're using, and I say use, if what you're imbibing in or using changes your behavior, you may want to look at that. Okay? If you do something on alcohol or opiates or that you would never do sober, that's how I found out I wasn't bisexual. Right? Because I would look at things differently when I was drinking than I would when I was sober. Right? So if it changes, you know, if you do things with a substance in your system that you would never do without that substance in your system, aka drive with your kids in the car, then you might want to look at that. All right? I will be leaving my house soon to pick up my father and take him to the airport. I love you. Take care, honey. What's going on with Rhonda? I was addicted to meth and got that way in 3 short years. Apparently, crack and meth, it's the first time you use it. I that's what I hear. And have been clean for 18 now, so I'm a survivor. Good job. And you know what? It's all about survival, right? Howie and I would not be together today if we weren't sober, if we hadn't sobered up. Hey, dear. Pretty sure one of us might be dead. It's that bad. It was that bad at the end, right? So if you got to ask yourself if you have a problem, then you might want to go and answer 20 questions on any addiction website, any 12-step website, okay? Anyway, I love you guys. Congratulations to all the survivors, and including us. And never forget, if you're an alcoholic, you're only this far away from full relapse. Avoid contact. Avoid the first contact, because your brain goes, it goes into your system and your body goes, what the fuck? Right? It's too late now. I saw someone eat chocolates once, not realizing there was rum in them. And they got halfway through the box of chocolates and said, "Oh, are these really ever good?" And then someone said, "Well, there's booze in those." And they went, "Does that mean I can drink?" No! Stop eating the chocolates. This is Mrs. Wolfie. Come over here and say bye-bye. Yeah, you can hide that. Because this isn't a drug, it's medicine. Bye-bye. And Mr. Wolfie saying, thanks for hanging out with us while we do our work. I'm going to go get some canning done, and I'll probably see you all tomorrow because I'm going to be back in the kitchen working. But remember, the ice maker preview is coming out tomorrow with a link and a coupon code for 10% off from London Sunshine. And then there's going to be a video for Tuesday about the stuff we found in the garden and what I've done with it, without going through all the canning videos, because you already see me can this up once. Okay? I love you guys. Take care. God bless. And thanks for listening to me talk. I mean, I really don't know when to shut up sometimes. Take care. God bless.
What's DEP?
Don't ask me what's DEP. Have a PB&J.